Erev Tov and Shavua Tov, we are holding in the middle of the 9 days. The 9 days that we are told that from the time we usher in the month of Menachem Av, Mema'atin, we decrease. Mema'atin, but the Rebbe comes and puts the comma in the right behind the word, after the word Mema'atin, we decrease. And then the Rebbe puts in two words that are not there originally. The two words are Mema'atin, we decrease, al yedei, through simcha, through joy. In other words, we decrease all the customs of mourning, of avelus, through activities that are connected with happiness, with joy. Obviously, we have to know that these activities have to be permissible joys that are permissible during the 9 days. For instance, there it comes and gives not only an example but an instruction that we should all be we should focus on making on or at least hearing every night of the 9 days. We are focusing on hearing the concept of siyume masechtas, the culminations of tractates of Talmud. And here the Talmud tells us itself that when one of the great Talmudic scholars would make a siyum on one of the tractates, he would make a yamatava lechol tamidei chachomim. He would make a festival for all the Talmudic scholars and for all his neighbors and friends. And this was considered to be a Yom Tov, and therefore it's a Yom Tov that is permissible during the 9 days. We don't have this. Initially, people say that if you're allowed to, if it's a Yom Tov, so you should be able to go and to eat meat and drink wine. So, at least by Chabad, we don't have the custom at the Siyum to eat meat or drink wine. We do go, and if we want, and if a person is able to, it's very praiseworthy to go and to give a nice farbayasin, something nice for people to be able to eat. Some by the Sfardim, some will actually allow even the eating of meat and drinking of wine. And by Sfardim, it's even it's a difference in the 9 days if it's the week of Tisha B'av or the week before Tisha B'av when the 9 days start. So once someone asked the Rav, tell me, if I hear, he asked the question, if I hear a siyum on the media, on the radio, if I hear a siyum masechta, so am I allowed to eat meat and to drink wine? He heard it on the radio. So the Rav said it's praiseworthy of you to at least be attentive to listen to a siyum, even though it's over the radio, but nevertheless, as far as eating meat and drinking wine, for those that it is permissible for them, so at the place where the siyum is taking place, you can hear through the radio how they are eating meat and drinking wine, but otherwise not. We have a very exclusive, the exclusive day that we are coming from yesterday is the 5th of Menachem Av, Hey Av, which is the Yom HaHilula, the day of the passing of the Ari Kodesh, the Holy Lion, Rav Yitzchok ben Shloima Luria Ashkenazi, and in honor of the Hilula, it would only be appropriate to go and to bring a story from the Ari Kodesh, the Holy Lion. And we know, and Rav Chaim Vital writes in his writings, I believe in the Hagdama, the preface to Shar HaMaimodes, the gate of titles. So he writes there that the Ari Kodesh was such a holy man, he was such a godly man, that he was able to go and to see on the face of the individual what that person did previously in his previous Gilgulim, what that person did today in this Gilgul, and what that person is going to do in the future as well. In other words, everything was open, like an open book, when he was looking at any single human being. And the story goes that once the Ari, he had to deal with his business, and therefore he had to leave his town, and he was traveling. As he traveled, he lodged at a certain home of a certain Jew, a very well-off, well-to-do individual, and this Jew literally gave the Ari the royal treatment. And it was not only the fact that the Ari is the Ari, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, and even then he was not that well publicized and known. People didn't. Not all people even knew what the greatness of the Ari was. But this person, as far as his Avos Yisrael and his Hachnosis Orchim, his handling his guests, he went over and beyond anything that was mitzupe, anything that was expected. After the end of his stay, the Ari went to the balabais, to the master of the home, and he said to him, "Listen, you've treated me so well. I want to reciprocate, and therefore, I want to know: is there anything that you need, anything that you are missing?" So the man humbly thinks to himself, and he says to the Ari, "Actually, great Rabbi, I don't know. As far as his health and the health of his home, the members of his home were concerned, everyone was well. As far as his parnasa was concerned, his livelihood, so he was doing also, Baruch Hashem, very well. And so then he was quiet, as if, no, I thank Hashem for everything that He has given me. Then the Ari said, "But listen, maybe there must be something else, something in addition that you would like, that you would need." So he thinks for another moment, and he says, "Great Rabbi, listen. My wife, since we married, we merited to bring into the world 4 wonderful children. But since we brought the 4th child, so she stopped bringing children to the world. She stopped giving birth. And therefore, this causes a lot of pain. It causes her a lot of anguish. And it obviously causes me also a lot of pain and anguish to see my wife in pain and anguish, even though we have already 4 children. And therefore, what I would ask is if it would be possible that we would have another child." At that point, the Ari closed his eyes and he contemplated very deeply, and he opened his eyes and he said, "Listen, I can see why you stopped having children." And the Gvir looks at the Ari and he says, please, Rabbi, tell me whatever has to be done, I'll do to rectify the situation." He says, "Listen, you have a chicken coop on your premises." He says, "Yes, I know." So he says, in the chicken coop, you have chickens and you have little chickadees. Now, these chickadees, they used to go out of the chicken coop and climb down the ladder that was adjacent to the chicken coop. And then when they came down the ladder, they would be able to walk around in the yard, and the food and drink that you would feed them was down in the yard. At a certain point, your Rebbetzin, she came and she said, "This has to stop." What has to stop? She said, not that the chickens and the chickadees don't have to eat. Of course they have to eat, they have to drink. But they don't have to eat and drink in our yard. Because when they come down the ladder and they come to the yard, so unfortunately, they make the yard very dirty. they spread the yard gets very dirty. Bekitzer. So the Rebbitzin, she told her handmaid to go and to take the ladder away from the chicken coop, and from now on to bring the food and the drink and put it inside the chicken coop. No more the chickadees coming down and making such dirt in the yard. And from that time on, the Ari explained to the Gvir, the chickadees, the little Efroichim, they began to have great pain and great anguish. What was their pain? What was their anguish? They enjoyed very much, the Ari explained, when they were able to go from the chicken coop down the ladder, and they would be able to stroll around, wander around, to stretch out their legs in the yard, to get some nice fresh air. From the time that the ladder was taken away, they do receive their food, they receive their water, their drink, but they aren't able to go and to enjoy life, and this causes them pain. This causes them anguish. And from above there was a kitrug, right? There was in heaven. They spoke and they said, since your wife is causing them pain and anguish, so she is going to be receiving midah keneged midah, also pain and anguish. And this is the source of the reason that you stopped having children after your fourth child. The Gvir was shocked at how the Ari knew exactly what is going on in his household. But he didn't wait a second. He excused himself from the Ari. He ran out to the yard. He looked around and he found the ladder, and he immediately put the ladder next to the chicken coop. So this allowed the chickadees all to come down the ladder and to walk around in the yard. Needless to say, after this rectification, after this tikkun, the following year the family had another child as well, and this is something that we have to internalize. That if it is causing pain or anguish to a living animal, to a chicken, to a chickadee, how much more so when we have to be more careful. We have to be more careful in regard to God, chas v'sholom, causing pain or anguish to another human being. And when we're talking about the kitrug, we're talking about the measure for measure, that the pain and anguish is brought back to the person that causes pain and anguish. So we know that the gedela mida teva mi midas haporanos elef pe'amim kacha, that the attribute of goodness, of kindness, is greater than the attribute of detriment 1,000-fold more. And therefore we have what to look forward to in order to go and to bring about the goodness and kindness. And especially now in the 3 weeks and the 9 days that the Talmud tells us, and the Rebbe stresses, that in order to do away with the golus, with the exile, we have to do away with the reason that brought on this exile. And the main reason that brought on the exile, we're told, is because of sinas chinam, because of baseless hatred. Hatred with no reason. And so when we go and we bring about avas chinam, we go and we attend to bringing love, unconditional love to our fellow person, to our fellow Jew, here is the remedy that does away with the reason for golus, and therefore it removes the golus, and it brings the Hilula Shlema V'Amitis with the golus, the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach, and it should be Teichef U'Miyad Mamish, also mentioning not only siyumim, but also the concept of adding in our study in general, especially in the study of Mashiach, Moshiach, and Geula, and adding in the giving of tzedakah, of charity, especially now in the 9 days, as we're told in words of the prophet of Novi, Tzion b'mishpat tipode, Tzion will be redeemed through mishpat, law, but it's not only law, but the study of the law of the Torah, uvishavea b'tzedakah, and all those that will return from the diaspora, uvishavea b'tzedakah, will be returning through the fact that we will be adding and giving in our charity, in our tzedakah during these 9 days. Yehi rotzen, that it should be teichef umyad mamish mamish mamish. Yechi Adonenu Moreinu v'Rabbeinu HaMelech Ha'Moshiach Chai v'Kayom Le'olam Voed. Amen.